who knows who Mutt-Lang is? You know who he is?
Yeah.
Do you know who he is? How about you? And? Yeah. All right. Mutt-Lang is a producer, and he worked with bands like Def Leppard and AC/DC and Shania Twain. So he's kind of covered a wide variety of music, you know, from the kind of slightly imperfect AC/DC to the absolutely pop perfect Shania Twain. And he is well known for being really crazy because his production techniques and methods are very, very intense. I guess there's a rumor where he was working with Def Leppard and spent an entire month coming up with one guitar tone. He likes to do things in a pretty insane manner, and I think I kind of am inspired by that. And I like to do things in a really detailed and intense way as well. So I call this the Mutt-Lang method. I don't know if he invented it or if he's just well known for doing it or what, but the reason why it's called the Mutt-Lang method is because it takes so much time and is absolutely insane. It's an absolutely insane way of recording a guitar. So I'm going to actually try and demonstrate it now. So the whole concept of the Mutt-Lang method is that a guitar has 6 strings, and if you play any of the 2 strings at the same time, you don't have any control over either string. You can only control the performance of both strings playing at the same time. You can't separate the 2 different notes and tune them to be different things or move them separately from each other. So if you record a riff 1 string at a time or record a guitar part 1 string at a time, then you can have each string on a track in Cubase, and then you can directly affect each string independently from each other. So I'll show you how this is useful. Let me think here. So that sounds pretty gross, right? I can try and tune it and try to get it as close as possible. And I will do that. Let me find a tuner. I'm not used to where the plugins are on here. So notice how sharp that note is in comparison to... So I don't know if you can see that. It's a good 25 cents off. So there's a couple things you could do. Like if let's say the riff was like... wait. So if you wanted to record that the classic way, you would have to go right, and then you would stop, then you would put your finger on the fret, then tune it, and then punch in, and then take your finger off and then tune it back, and so that would be really annoying. Or you could do it the Mutt-Lang way and record each string separately. So in order to do that, you would need to know how to play it 1 string at a time. So if I'm going like... So this string would be... And the next one would be like... And the next one would be... Wait, sorry. So you would actually hit record, and on 1 track you would just play 1 string and play it every time that it's supposed to be plucked, but you wouldn't play any of the other strings. Then you would stop recording on that track, record onto a new track, and then play the next string, the next part, and so on. And then you would be able to go into each track and put auto-tune, which would correct the pitch of each string individually. And then you would also be able to change the timing of each string and the volume relationship between the strings. And then you would send all of those signals into a final track, which would then be sent back out into your amp or into your pod farm signal or whatever you're working with. So I'll kind of show you how it works. Some riffs are more complicated than others, and it's just not realistic to learn how to do each string one at a time. So what you can do is just punch in each note and let it ring out longer than it's supposed to, and then you can cut it shorter. So that I'm gonna do that for what I've been playing. So in order to do that, I'm just gonna hit record and hit the first note. Let me make sure I've got a click. So I just played it and I let it ring out, and then I'm going to go in and cut it up and move it into place. And then I'm going to go to the next track and just play this one note. So I'm going to cut that up, and then I'm going to move that into place. So that sounds pretty perfect. All right, let me play the next one. Then we cut that one. Okay, so let me record the last note. And we'll cut that up as well. And then what I would do is just loop. I'm just going to loop this section and listen to the pitch. Now, if you know much about pitch, you know that that is not in tune. So we can actually go into each track and put an instance of auto-tune on there. And then we're going to select instrument and put our retune speed to 0. And I'm just going to copy and paste that to all of the tracks. And then if I remove auto-tune and put it back on, much more in tune. Then what you can do is you can set up a bus, actually. I'm just going to I've got this mono out that I'm going to use. I'm going to send all the tracks to the mono out. And then I'm going to make a new track and record that mono out. Let me turn looping off. And so now we have that whole guitar part as a single DI, just like you would have done it in real life. And then you can take that piece of audio and you can send it to whatever amp you're using. You can reamp with it, whatever. In this case, I have my tone as a group track right here. That's basically the Mutt-Lang method. Now the thing is that what you can run into is if you try to do that for any kind of guitar part, there are certain things that just won't translate. So for example, if you play an octave, your pick is hitting various strings that are being muted, and it's making like a percussive sound. So not only do you have this note and this note, we also have this sound. And when it comes to the Mutt-Lang method, you can't really, there's no way to really demonstrate. You can't get that sound. So it's not for every guitar part. So if you wanted to try the Mutt-Lang method like with the, you wouldn't be able to do it because you would go like this. And then you would punch in this one. And then when you play them back, it's going to sound like they were plucked like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which won't sound like the same thing as, you know, that percussive sound. So it's not for everything, but generally on clean parts, especially ones that have really complex picking patterns or arpeggiated patterns, I like to just do it with the Mutt-Lang method because it just comes across so much clearer. Any questions about that?
Real quick, are there any, have you worked with any artists in the past who are more or less against using the Mutt-Lang method because they want a more authentic sounding guitar track, like they are just playing it?
Absolutely. There's some people who are completely against what I do. And even in some situations, I would be against doing it too. If I'm working with a certain kind of band and I feel like that's just so far from what they're trying to do artistically, then I wouldn't even suggest doing it. But like I'd say in 90% of what I do, which is very perfect and precision based, you just have to do that because if you don't, it sounds like a mess. Mm-hmm. If I encounter someone who is like, we don't really want to do things that way, we think that's going too far, but I feel I like disagree, I probably would just side with them. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it is their art and it is their song. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to record it more efficiently and to get things done and make the song awesome. And if they don't think that makes the song awesome, then why do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Billy wants to know if you ever use noise gates.
Yes.
Because the picking's so quiet, the pick attack's so quiet.
Sometimes we use noise gates just to make the recording experience less stressful, because if you hear that, like if you hear a buzzing noise for 8 hours every day, let's see if I can make it happen. Yeah, so like, can you hear that noise? Right, so if you just have that going,
yeah,
all the time, that can drive you insane. So
yeah,
we will turn the gates on just to make the whole session go smoother. But when it comes down to editing and mixing, we'll turn the gates off and try to get all of our actual gating and our muting in our edits. So if we want the guitar to stop making noise, then we will cut it and we'll fade it out or we'll automate it or something. Anything else?
Awesome. There's just a question about, do you prefer active or passive pickups?
Active or passive?
Yeah.
Definitely depends on the type of music,
right.
But I think for metalcore, active pickups are better.
Okay.
These are passive though, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the bare knuckle pickups, which I think most of them are passive, those pickups, for whatever reason, are just amazing.
Okay.
So I am starting to like the bare knuckles more.